Welcome back to Wealthy Mentor Trading, guys. Today is April the 3rd, 2022, and today I'm going to be discussing the S&P 500. Where we left off last week, I'm also going to be looking at some targets going into next week and talking about the 5 names that I'm keeping my eyes on going into tomorrow. Names like Facebook, AMD, which did have a down week, SMH, Semiconductor Sector, pushing back down, AMC with an eventful day, a week overall, along with Tesla consolidating at the highs, discussing all those 5 names and those targets associated with each and one of those. With that being said, guys, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you are interested in trading with us at Wealthy Mentor Trading, we do have a 2-month $99 promo going on right now, and that entails swing trading watch list, day trading watch list, options callouts, along with market analysis and analyst upgrades and the whole 9 yards. Everything that I'm discussing today is part of the group. So if you are interested, click that link in the bio and that should get you going. With that being said, I do have the S&P 500 chart open here. And as you guys can see here, we did have an off week, right? We did have that push above that 45.50 area, as you guys can see here in this highlighter color, which was great. And the next major resistance point was that $4,600 area where we had multiple rejections here on the daily time frame. And essentially, we did push past that, but unfortunately, if I switch over here to the weekly time frame, you guys can clearly see that we could not close above that $4,600 line, which is really important to me. As you guys can see, multiple rejections here, and this being the third one, right? And we did close bearish, right? Underneath that 45.50 area. I really wanted to see us close above that to maintain that uptrend. And if there is a silver lining, it is that $4,500 line. As you guys can see here, we did touch it and close slightly below 45.50. Now, this candlestick here is not very bullish, right? Basically retracing the whole move and closing at the bottom. So what I'm looking for next week essentially is very simple. 45.50 is a must, and I want to stay above that. Now, if we can break above 4,600 and close above that, I am extremely bullish. But right now, I am still neutral on the market, right? 45.50 is a line right here that we respected and got rejected on and a push down. And once again, 45.50 closing below it. So it's a number that the market is respecting, and closing above it can definitely change the trend for us moving forward. But right now, I'm in a neutral and in a wait and see approach, right? So next week, one thing we also got to hold on to is that $4,500 line, right? Essentially, you pushed back down and bulls stepped in and protected. So right now we are range bound between 45.50 and 4,500. And if we break below 4,500, we do have this next area here of 44.50, which was that area weeks prior that I was looking for to create and start the trend change, right? And 4,600 was the break above it to solidify that we were moving higher, and essentially we were going to test all-time highs. But right now the market's not ready for that. So 45.50 and 4,600 is those 2 numbers that you should watch going into next week. With that being said, guys, I am going to move on to the 5 names that I wanted to discuss, and the first one being Facebook. Right here we are on Facebook. I am going to switch over here to the daily time frame and show you guys why it's important to me, right? Facebook was one of those names that created this gap down, and unfortunately, we have been pretty bearish for a while now, right? So we did bottom out at that 185, 189 level, and we are at a critical point right here where we can potentially change the trend from bearish to neutral, right? I am looking above that for that 230 to 235 area for potential push to test this breakdown candle right here at that 244 area, right? So essentially, if we break above that and we do have some nice volume along with QQQ, the tech sector shaping up, we could create some damage here and push all the way up to 254 and even 264. But the major hurdle that I'm looking for right now is that 230 line. As you guys can see here on the daily time frame, 1, 2, 3 rejection before we came back down to test that 222 support, right? So to the downside, if we do have an off week in the markets and the S&P 500 can't break that 45.50 area, we could essentially see the tech sector and the semiconductor push even lower, right? So what I'm looking at for a pullback on Facebook is that 216, 213 area. I do want to stay above that. and to maintain this momentum that we've been building, right? So below 222, look for targets of 216, 213 to be your down targets and areas of support to receive a bounce. And to the upside, look for that break of 230 to 235 for essential push to that 244 area and even 254 if we are bullish, right? Analysts are bullish on Facebook. UBS Group recently set a price target of $280, so definitely keep that in mind if you are a long-term trader and a holder of the Facebook stock. All right. Next name that I want to discuss that didn't do so well, and that's AMD. AMD didn't fare so well because it did receive a downgrade, and we did have that rejection at that 125 area, right? This is the second time we've been rejected here. The first one being back on February the 28th, and the most recent one on March the 30th. We did receive that downgrade, and essentially that pushed the rest of the market down. The semiconductor sector was one of the leading names that did have a pullback, pushing back down around 6.5%. Names like AMD, Micron, NVDA all had a down week. So what I'm looking for right now is that $100 area, right? So this is clear support. 1 point of bounce here, another bounce here, and one here. And to me, if we can push back down to that $100 area, I want to see how the stock reacts. And it is a great buying opportunity if that line holds. You know, the last time we had a bounce right here at that $100 area, we pushed all the way to 125, which was a nice 23% gain. So I am looking at that again to see if that holds and we do receive a bounce, right? And that $100 psychological line is important, as you guys can see here from last year in September. It held once more, and then we had this big boom all the way to that 150 area plus. Okay. Now, overall, I am in a wait and see approach on AMD. Essentially, I did want to see that 125 break to create that trend change and a push to test this 133 level. Unfortunately, we did not receive that because we did receive that downgrade by the analyst. So essentially, look for that $100 line to hold. It looks like we are going to be testing that on the break of 107. So that should be your first indicator. And 100 is that psychological support area where you can enter a trade based on volume and market conditions, of course. Okay. Another name that I want to discuss, and that's the semiconductor sector, right? It's related to AMD, and I want to show you here on the daily time frame what's important, right? 284 was an area where we were testing it, and unfortunately, we got a rejection due to the market conditions and the downgrade on AMD, and along with the rest of the semiconductor sector, such as NVIDIA, Micron had earnings that it didn't do so well. It pushed back down. I was looking for a breakout on that to essentially push the semiconductor sector higher. We did not get that, along with a bearish pullback on AMD, all led for the semiconductor sector to be rejected at 284. And which was important right here, it was that 270 line, and we broke swiftly right through it. You know, we did have a decline of around 6.5% on this semiconductor sector alone, which is pretty big. You know, we're talking about a group of stocks here all pushing back down, right? So what I'm looking for right now is that 260 area. And if we can't hold that, I am pretty bearish because that is an area where we have to maintain to create this uptrend that we've been in, right? So if we break that, to me, it leads that this could be a dead cat bounce, and essentially we could drop all the way down to 256, 249, and 237.5 for support zones, right? So what I want to see going into next week is a break above that 270 area, and I want to stay above that 270 area to hold on to the momentum that we are going higher and to retest this 284 rejection point. If we get past that, we also have another area that is important, and that's that 288 area where we did have two rejections here back on February 9th and the 8th, right? So 284 and 288 are overhead resistance, and 270 is that area that we need to stay above to retest those two areas to the upside. All right. So that's SMH, and definitely watch above 270, guys. Another name that I want to discuss that was pretty popular, right? And that's AMC. And AMC is important to me. You know, it wasn't directly the AMC news, but it was its fellow counterpart, the other meme stock, GME, GameStop. They did announce a potential stock split, and that was the rumor last week, right? So when you saw GME, you're essentially going to look at the other meme stocks like AMC to follow through with the pump. And it did, right? We did push all the way to that $33 area. Unfortunately, we got a rejection there. This was the descending triangle breakdown area, right? So essentially, when we break down from a descending triangle, it's a bearish outlook. And now we've made this big strong move and a momentum to try to retest that area, and we got rejected initially, pushing us back down to 22.5, right? So what I'm looking for next week is a break above that $29 area, and I want us to stay above there and consolidate above there. As you guys can see here, we did not consolidate much, and usually when a stock like this goes up so fast without any consolidation, without any support, it crashes back down to area of support, right? So 22.5 is an area of support. If that does break, guys, unfortunately, it is pretty bearish, and we could potentially test $20, 18, and even this bottom right here, where we have multiple areas of support at 14.50. Like I said, I want to see a break above $29 to retest this descending triangle bottom at 33. If we can break above that, we do have targets of 36 and $40 right here. That is pretty important to me that the stock has respected in prior days. It has respected those two areas. So a break above $33 is a major thing, and it can really catapult above that, right? So let's see going into next week if there is momentum, follow through with GME, and look for AMC to also, you know, hang on the coattails of GameStop for a push above $33. So overall, right now, I am still bearish on AMC, unfortunately, just because that, we couldn't hold these essential levels right here at 29 and 25. To me, when you receive a pullback, you want to pull back, but not the whole move. And essentially, it almost retraced this whole big candle right here. And we did close at the bottom on Friday. So to me, that was bearish. Hopefully, we get above that, over that $33 line. And after that, we can reassess AMC. All right. The next name that I want to discuss is Tesla. Now, Tesla, I've been waiting for a few weeks now for a breakout above this 1120 area. Unfortunately, we did not receive that last week. The market was at a standstill, pushing lower, and we are consolidating now around that $1,000 to $1,020 area, which I want to see break for my entry point, right? If we do break 1120, what am I looking at? I'm looking at 1150 as my first target to take profit at, and that 1180 area, which is an area of resistance here. As you guys can see, multiple rejections dating back last year, and the most current one happening the beginning of 2022 in January, right? So overall, the uptrend is maintained, so that is bullish for me, and we are consolidating underneath that $1,000 area, closing Friday session at 1084. To the downside, I essentially want to see us hold and stay above 1050. If we cannot get that, guys, we could potentially fill this gap right here back down to 1120 and even test 1000 once more before seeing buyers step in and then push the stock back up, right? And that is the best case scenario for a pullback and a hold at specific support zones and then push back up. For me, I want to see this 1050 line hold, right? That's still bullish. And obviously 1120 is that area that you want to see break with volume. So keep your eyes on Tesla moving forward. It has had a few weeks where it has stayed above there, so don't feel discouraged. It is still bullish. The uptrend, it's still maintained. And if I were to switch here to the 4-hour chart, it would break it down to you even more. As you guys can see here, obviously we are still maintaining this uptrend, and we are still in a bull flag formation. As long as we stay above this 1050 area, we are good, right? So keep your eyes on Tesla moving forward, guys. All right, so those are 5 stocks that I'm keeping my eyes on. Tesla, as I just discussed right here. AMC, unfortunate. We want to see a break above $33 to completely change that trend and put the bulls in control. The semiconductor sector had an off week. I want to see a break above that 270 area for a retest of 284. AMD, $100 psychological is important. Look for buying opportunities there. And Facebook, I'm looking above that 230 zone for potential push to 244. And there's a major gap up if we do receive momentum. QQQ pushes up is definitely a bullish catalyst for that. All right. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and also be sure to subscribe to Wealthy Mentor Trading on Discord. Good luck trading and see you guys next week.